Check the Bud Light starting lineups. Here's how it looks. Fisher and Bryant in the backcourt for Minnesota. Hudson and Zerbiak for Minnesota. Fox and Madsen up front for the Lakers. Smith and Garnett, Nesterovic, and Shaquille O'Neal the centers.
Talking to Phil Jackson about the keys, the strategy. Number one, you've got to deny penetration. That means the perimeter players have got to keep Troy Hudson, Rod Strickland, Wally Zerbiak out of the paint. The Lakers have to control the board, something they do with Shaquille O'Neal, roaming the defensive area, and then keep the Timberwolves off the free throw line. Play defense without fouling.
I think sometimes, and it's hard as it is to believe, they forget about Shaq sometimes. They'll go 3 or 4 minutes without giving him the ball. It's like the man's 7'1", 350. He should touch it. And 90% of the time they're on the offensive end.
Kevin Garnett, as is his ritual, powders down and then spreads it across 3 of the more prominent writers in the Minneapolis area.
Flip Saunders, he wants the tempo up and down. He wants to get it totally chaotic, change up their defenses with this big lineup here, try to double team Shaq as quickly as possible, and capitalize on the home crowd.
Everybody up in that home crowd, and the Lakers will control the tap. Madsen, they'll leave him wide open. He's going to take the shot. That's why you leave him wide open.
Joe Smith just sitting in Shaq's lap.
And you have to take that shot, too, if you're Mark Madsen.
Oh. Fisher hits a 3 to open things up.
Well, they have been on fire lately. The outside guys, Fox, Ori, Fisher, and George, the last 5 games have been over 50% from beyond the stripe. When they do that, look out.
Kevin Garnett, wheels on Madsen. Got it.
They're going to have to come double that one. There's just no way, as hard as Mark Madsen can try.
I asked Phil Jackson about that. They're not going to do that.
Just going to let Garnett go?
Yeah, well, they're going to bring Ori in soon.
Kobe Bryant misses. Garnett with his first rebound.
Garnett, one of the league's premier rebounders, dominant on the defensive end with the glass.
Almost 13.5 rebounds a game. Nesterovic had it blocked by Shaquille O'Neal. And saved by Kobe Bryant.
It's a good move by Rasho Nesterovic. He cannot get so intimidated that he goes away from it. He just has to get it off, put it up in the glass. The rest of his teammates will have a chance.
Fisher's open again for 3. Got it again.
The net hasn't moved on either one of Fisher's threes. Take the crowd out of it with a great start by the Lakers.
6-2 to open the 3-time defending champions. Nesterovic works his way across the lane and loses it out of bounds.
Tough to play back to the basket against Shaq when you're Rasho Nesterovic. Maybe Tim Duncan, yes. Maybe Weber and Vlade Divac from the Sacramento Kings. Should put Rasho Nesterovic at the high post and let him make a few plays up there.
Maybe I'm missing something here, but I'm looking at Nesterovic versus Shaq and Garnett versus Madsen. And I would try to exploit that early on in the game.
Kobe Bryant gives it off underneath to Madsen. He slams it.
Throw it down, Mark Madsen. Throw it down.
6-point Laker lead in the first 2 minutes. Garnett goes baseline on the turn. Oh, God.
We talked about the necessity for Minnesota to come out with a great start. We have seen that from Garnett. Nesterovic has got to come alive, and somebody else got to get some long rebounds out there for the Wolves.
O'Neal brings it back to Fisher, and around the perimeter it goes. 10 on the shot clock.
Tough matchup here for Zerbiak against Kobe Bryant.
Fisher almost had an opening again. This time he airmails one across to Nesterovic.
Well, that's because he ran out and made him put it on the ground. You got to make him put it on the ground, not just catch and shoot.
Hudson, the pull-up jumper.
Flip Saunders knows, he told us that he can get any kind of shots for his guards that he wants as long as his big men set screens.
O'Neal just powers in.
Ouch. Kevin Garnett just got the short end of that collision, as anybody would going against Shaq. They might need to take a 20-second here.
3 minutes into the game, Lakers by 6.
He has no strength in that right leg, Kevin Garnett.
Hudson missed again on the jumper. And last touch by Shaquille O'Neal.
Kevin Garnett's not right.
No,
he is not right. they should take a timeout and make sure this is going to be fine. Big picture, long game, not just the first 3.5 minutes of the opening quarter.
He'll inbound on the baseline to Hudson around a pick. Hudson, no foul, goes down, looks up, and Shaq has the ball out to Bryant. Manson trying to go against Nesterovic.
Garnett trying to run that pain out of his leg.
Zerbiak touches it for the first time and scores.
Well, a good start for him because that was not an easy shot. Kobe Bryant right on his left-hand side and just managed to get it up before Kobe got to the ball.
Zerbiak was not part of either one of the Timberwolves' wins over the Lakers. These two teams split 2-2 this year. Nice pass inside. Whoa!
And a flagrant foul called on Joe Smith. Jess Kersey right on top of it. You talked about the two teams splitting. Timberwolves won the first 2 games. And then the Lakers won the last 2 as the Lakers have really come alive.
You're going to watch
this
the
is
arm
scary
around the
looking
neck.
here.
Right here. That's where he took him down. There's no need for that. I mean, I don't think in a situation like that he was trying to stabilize himself. He just brought him right back down.
It is a flagrant foul right on top of floor cam. And they just slapped hands as if I didn't mean to take you down quite that hard. At any rate, Madsen is okay.
But with the way Madsen plays, those kind of things tend to happen around him because he just plays so hard. I mean, he gives you maximum effort every time on the court.
It sounds as if you're blaming Mark Madsen for that play.
No, not at all. I'm just saying those type of things happen around Mark Madsen because of the way he plays so hard. Not blaming him. I love guys that play that with maximum effort.
Collisions happen when you're in the demolition derby, let's put it that way. Here's Kevin Garnett.
On the pick and roll for the Lakers, knee to knee. Shaq's got his bent, and he's coming a little bit harder as Kevin Garnett is trying to anticipate and absorb that incredible impact of the collision of the game's largest player.
So Madsen gets both free throws, and now Nesterovic pushes Kobe Bryant.
Foul trouble. Flip Saunders telling us that we have to manage every single foul properly. We got a lot of players, an incredibly deep Minnesota team, but nobody can get careless fouls.
Nesterovic is really one that has to be careful. He's fouled out of 2 of the 4 games against the Lakers this year.
Got hurt in the other one.
Kobe Bryant rips it over Wally Zerbiak. Kobe's first basket, and it's an 8-point Laker lead.
Lakers were playing great. They look totally focused. The concentration is there, forcing Flip Saunders to an early timeout.
7:39 to go first quarter. Lakers on the road. Doesn't seem to matter at all. They control things 14-6 here early. Back on Christmas Day when we were at Staples Center, we talked about how well the Lakers would have to play just to make the playoffs, because at that time, remember, they were 11-19. But how quickly they could rise. By January 6th, they were in 10th. 9th by January 12th. Up to 8th in February. Then the 26th, they were 7th. By March 18th, they were in the 6th spot, and they finished just behind Minnesota and ahead of Portland. And here they are, the 4 and 5 matchup. So that thermometer rising, and you can tell the heat is almost coming out of the top of the thermometer right now in the opening here for the Lakers.
Isn't there a song about the temperatures rising? Everybody's getting hot?
I'm sure there is. Garnett's got to get rid of it. He did at the rim, but that's it.
Something about Saturday, but today is Easter Sunday, correct?
That's right. We have to add a day.
Quick double team by Joe Smith. Triple team now against Shaq. Lakers tentative.
Kobe Bryant goes long ball and drains it.
So much for the hesitation there. Lakers are 6 for 10 shooting. The crowd is just pushed back in their seat. Timberwolves trying to run it up and down, but you can't run out of the net.
The Lakers perfect outside the arc. 3 threes.
This is what Minnesota needs right here.
Garnett slipped a little bit as he crossed the lane. That one goes up and in.
Because when Shaq has to guard Garnett, that's going to allow Smith and Nesterovic and Zerbiak and the rest of the guys to get on the offensive glass.
Kobe Bryant again over Zerbiak. This time short, but Madsen's right there.
Extra possessions. You're the Timberwolves. You can't afford to give them up.
You need a great rebounder. Will Flip Saunders be able to find one?
Finally, the Lakers miss a three. Zerbiak with a rebound.
Well, if you don't have it now, I don't think you're finding anything at this time of the season.
Wally comes down and misses a three.
Garnett is their best rebounder by far. But right now, Phil Jackson is brilliantly running the offense through whoever Garnett guards.
O'Neal. Garnett with a defensive rebound.
We're seeing Shaq do that more and more. Come to that right shoulder in the lean-in jumper as opposed to working for his devastating jump hook.
Zerbiak crosses the lane, fouled by Bryant. 5:26 remaining in the quarter. Log on to the special NBA.com playoff section throughout the postseason for history, news, features, and series breakdowns. That's only on NBA.com.
We've talked a lot this year about the Lakers having troubles with health and Shaq missing so much of the season. Wally Zerbiak in the same situation for Minnesota.
He missed 30 total, 23 of them in a row with the bad foot.
And they couldn't win it all when he was out. You need those complementary players. This is a team, Minnesota, that is a mid-range jump shooting squad.
Zerbiak coming off a career high a week ago, 44 points against Chicago.
Well, he's an all-star level player. This year, he was not able to compete down in Atlanta at All-Star Weekend because of the injury that kept him out the vast majority of the early part. The 3-2 zone here for the first time for Minnesota.
Fox will try a three and got it.
This is target practice.
Only missed 1-3.
Well, you got to stretch it out to get the three-point shooters. Then, with Joe Smith going to the bench and Anthony Peeler coming on, you got to make sure you box everybody out as to not give up any offensive rebounds. You may need to score every once in a while, too.
Garnett threw a double team, one in front and one behind, and he still hit it.
The swipe of the ball from behind by the Laker defense, Kevin Garnett just totally ignored it. Moved the ball a little bit. Net. That's a great shot.
Bryant waits for Peeler to commit and drew the foul.
You give him three on that one.
Well, one of the questions that's going to have to evolve during the course of this series is how guys like Anthony Peeler and Kendall Gill will react to the fact that they're no longer getting the big minutes as Flip Saunders has made the decision to go big. The commitment to the team, critical here.
Kobe Bryant, 5 points already, and to the free throw line for three here. Kevin McHale, the Vice President of Basketball Operations and General Manager.
The Hall of Famer, the architect of this developing team. Still so very young, guys just coming into their prime.
He and Flip Saunders were teammates with the Minnesota Gophers collegiately.
Flip was a senior when Kevin McHale just burst onto the scene from Hibbing, Minnesota, Bob Dylan's hometown.
From the Iron Range.
Kevin McHale sitting next to his lovely and talented wife, Lynn, who met at college here in Minnesota.
Lakers have matched their biggest lead, up 11.
What a closeout defense by the Lakers.
And Rick Fox this time guilty of the foul.
Well, that's something you didn't see a lot of during the regular season. That swarming Laker defense all over the place, contesting shots. Towards the end of the season, it started to get that way. And now, it's amazing. Like, they know it's playoff time. You got to go max effort. They've been able to do it.
That foul, by the way, was on Fisher, not on Rick Fox.
It's so different for a veteran team knowing that it's no longer a schedule. Now, it's the better you play, the fewer number of games you play. You take care of business. You got to win 16. How many is it going to take this year's champion to get that done?
All right, guys, one left. One then.
The Lakers, the last 3 years in the playoffs, 45-13, 19-6 on the road. And Minnesota's woes in the playoffs, 5-18 over the 6-year stretch that we've talked about.
Well, that's what jumps out of you, Brad. 19-6 on the road. I mean, that's amazing.
And that's playing against teams like the Kings and the Spurs.
Right. Here's Shaquille O'Neal. They move it around. Kobe Bryant's wide open. Missed this one. It came right back to him.
Look out.
And now it's Shaq.
A helpless situation for a defender. Every little detail by the Wolves has to be addressed. Kevin Garnett cannot run by a three-point shooter. I think Nesterovic is too far away from the basket.
Peeler just inside the three-point line.
Why would a big man handle the ball in the set offense in an area where he cannot shoot?
All 5 of the Lakers starters are in the scorebook with 3.5 minutes to go in the first quarter. And they lead by 10. Horry just checked in, and he know what he can do in the playoffs. Rick Fox has got 2 threes.
Well, this keeps going like this. You can forget about it.
This is a flawless exhibition of how you play basketball. Lakers are 5 for 7 from behind the arc.
Hudson on a runner. Now all the Timberwolves have scored.
They've chosen to play like this. And you can't, just because they come out and shoot the lights out, don't get scared and then go away from your game plan.
But Saunders takes a timeout. It's enough to make you scratch the back of your head. 3 minutes left in the quarter. The defending champs are all over you on your home floor. 28-17. Lakers shooting lights out from outside the arc. Not to mention the damage that can be done inside. The Lakers average less than 6 3-pointers made a game. They've got 5 in the first 9 minutes of this one. And they're shooting lights out, barely moving the net, as Bill said earlier. Everybody getting in the act. Rick Fox, Kobe Bryant, Derek Fisher. And they lead right now by 11 with 3 minutes left in the first quarter. Let's check in with D.A.
Guys, Phil Jackson says that this is one of the best teams he's ever had, comparing them to the old Bulls teams in terms of preparation and knowing how to identify and confront the strengths of the opposition. He says they seem to have an appetite for it. The guys that they're looking for, Wally Szczerbiak on the boards, and Anthony Peeler and Troy Hudson in jumpers. They think if they can eliminate those, they can beat the Wolves.
They're having a hard time eliminating anything right now. Kobe Bryant.
But this is a flawless exhibition of basketball by the Lakers. They are so determined, so concentrated right now.
If you're Minnesota, don't you have to say maybe we're seeing the best and it's got to get a little bit worse and we'll get a little bit better?
Absolutely. You just keep playing through it. You don't look at the scoreboard. You just keep playing and figure, you know what? I mean, I've always felt they're not going to shoot this way from three-point land. You tell yourself as a player, if they do, they're not going to win. You go out there, you keep battling, but Flip Saunders, it looks like he's chosen to pack it in, not let O'Neal get off, and let them shoot the threes. And you don't switch up in midstream.
So the lead is 12. Strickland at the free throw line. With more on him is Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Kevin Garnett said to me, no disrespect to Troy Hudson, but Rod Strickland knows how to play the game. He understands flow and tempo. Strickland missed 33 of the last 37 games, but since he's been back, he's been a boon to this Timberwolves team, guys.
He's a 16-year veteran. Here's Shaquille O'Neal taking everything down with him.
Lakers are getting whatever they want. And this was certainly not Troy Hudson's fault that they've fallen behind here.
Nesterovic underneath. And just intimidated by O'Neal's presence, he threw that one up off the glass too hard. Kobe Bryant took what looked like it was going to be a double dribble or a loose ball and made it a basket.
Lakers have hit their last 5 shots and have extended to the biggest lead of the early afternoon here.
Crowd is shocked here in Minneapolis by watching this purple and gold machine right now.
Well, go ahead and take this first quarter, put it on paper, and find it. Because this is just unbelievable. Everything. Kobe getting to the middle, Shaq's finishing, Kobe in the open court, going wherever he wants to get. Let me take a runner. That one's good too.
Running from outside the free throw line, and you lose the ball going left on the way up, and you still get nothing but net.
Garnett touches it for the first time in quite a while. Shaquille O'Neal with authority snatches down the rebound.
And now Flip Saunders is into his second unit here with Peeler and Strickland and Jackson here. But really what they have to do is just bide some time until the Lakers cool off just a little bit.
Fox, it's not happening right now.
Yeah.
I would just hold the ball, run out the 24 seconds, and try to get this quarter over with as quickly as possible. Holy mackerel.
Rick Fox has 3 threes. Strickland underneath, and that's a nasty spill, and then you get landed on by the guy in the business too, and then he helped Shaq up.
Well, that'll crush a pancreas right there.
Oh, and now he just about collapsed after he helped Shaq up. He's holding his lower back. Watch this. That's like hitting a wall, and then the wall falls on you.
That is rough right there. It's ouch. That hurt. That hurt worse. That hurt worse.
And then he rolled on his head. And then as he walked to the free throw line, he almost collapsed, and he held up. I think Wally Szczerbiak held him up, and now he's at the free throw line with a bad back, you can bet. And Strickland hits it. The Stars will be out next Sunday. We'll head for L.A. Game 4 between the Timberwolves and the Lakers. Coverage starts next Sunday live at 3 Eastern. ABC Sports Championship Television, home of the NBA Finals. Strickland somehow got both free throws after getting collapsed on by Shaquille O'Neal.
One of the things that Flip Saunders wants is his Wolves to get up in the backcourt, try to take some time off the clock before Shaq even gets the ball.
He's got it now, and the jump hook goes. 8 for O'Neal. 11 for Kobe Bryant.
The 3 dominant post players in today's NBA, Duncan, Shaq, and Chris Webber, they all use the jump hook as the basis, the foundation of their offensive game.
Garnett squares up, has a little bit of separation between himself and O'Neal, and hits the jumper over it. 35 seconds left in the quarter. Kareem Rush, the rookie, into the lineup right now.
Sure, go ahead, Kareem. Everybody else hit one.
Is rimmed out.
Love rebounds that you're tipping to yourself.
Almost exactly the shot clock and game clock, as you can see. Strickland holds it out with Fisher on him near midcourt. Gets a pick from Garnett, kind of a moving screen, and then missed the jump shot. Ball last touched by the Timberwolves.
Robert Horry is such a fabulous defender. Phil Jackson's going to try to get Kobe Bryant in here for those last 1.8 seconds.
Minnesota does have a foul to give with 1.8 left. About the only shot that hasn't gone down for the Lakers was that three-pointer by Kareem Rush a moment ago, but they've got 1.8 to try to launch one here, and already they've got a 16-point lead.
No pressure on the ball. Horry's just going to have his pick.
Horry to Fisher. And a foul on Strickland before the shot.
The foul to give. Excellent use of the clock. Now the Lakers up against it for the first time. Still have enough time, though, to catch, turn, and shoot.
So let's see where Horry goes with this pass. Shaq's double teamed by Jackson and Garnett under the hoop, but they're going to put it that way anyway, and Garnett says, get it out of here. Well, one thing went right for the Timberwolves. Shaq didn't touch it. The most points in a first quarter allowed this season, though, by the Wolves. They finally got their home court advantage, and it's been snatched away from them by the 3-time champion Lakers, who come into this one focused and ready and put 39 points on the board in the first quarter. You're watching the NBA on ABC Sports Championship Television. Kevin Garnett, 8 points in the first quarter to lead Minnesota, but Kobe Bryant leads the Lakers with a dozen, and the Lakers lead it by 16.
Shaq's on the bench for the first time. Can the Wolves capitalize? Take it to the hoop, trying to turn the momentum around a little bit.
Mark Jackson with a hook, so they start off that way by going in to Jackson.
Well, Mark Jackson can deal a little bit inside, and he's much bigger than Robert Horry, who's a very good defender, but it's just the girth of Mark Jackson. They give him a little trouble down there.
Kobe Bryant behind Gill, and up off the glass, up way up high to get it over Garnett.
He's good.
Yes, he is.
How do you guard?
You don't. You know how it is. Offensive players get it going, you forget about it.
He's just moving at a totally different speed. He's moving today like Stephon Marbury was moving yesterday. He's out on the perimeter, you bring 2 guys on him, he goes the other way, goes by a third, and teardrops it over a fourth.
Amazing
That's
thing.
good play calling by Phil Jackson.
The presence of mind to get it that high off the glass, knowing that Garnett was going to make a run at it.
And he looked like he knew what he was doing the entire time.
4 on the shot clock. Gill, nice move inside, but rejected by Devin George. Bryant's got that look. That's why.
Boy, to see the double team coming and just spin the other way. When you watch the great ones out there and they're in a zone like this, you know that they see everything happening before them before it happens.
Kobe's got 16 points already on 6 for 9 shooting.
Peeler has his second basket.
The Lakers are 3-time defending champs. Their experience, and they are the most experienced team of all the 16 squads in this year's playoff bracket. They know how hard it is, how much it takes, what kind of preparation is required.
Gill got a piece of that shot.
Minnesota, which has never won a game 1 of a series, they're learning right now.
Jackson, nice job, took George and Horry with him.
He's getting great position. He's catching it 2 feet away from the bucket.
And Phil Jackson taking no chances, realizing the necessity of winning the first game of a series. Coming right back with Shaq.
Kobe again, the high floater. 18 for Kobe Bryant. It got the look of one of those 50-point jobs, doesn't it, fellas?
How about the variety he's got? How about the fact that the Lakers runners in between teardrops?
Lakers have 45 points.
9.5 minutes to go in the second quarter.
Oh.
Peeler. And Peeler, I don't think he's missed since he came in. They're going to need his scoring. They're going to need everybody's score.
If you're Minnesota, ignore the score. Just play each possession.
How hard is that to do?
A lot easier to talk about it.
Pargo trying to get in the act. So the 2 rookies have missed jumpers outside. That's about the only thing that hasn't gone for the Lakers.
But no transition opportunities for Minnesota. Flip Saunders desperately wants and needs this game to get going up and down.
Garnett looking for his 10th point. Two rookies on the court right now, Pargo and Kareem Rush.
Horry playing the center of the triple post offense. That's a heat check.
Unconscious. Again, you had the look in his eye, that familiar hip that he pops out there to get himself a little bit of room, but over a double team, he nails an almost unbelievable turnaround jumper, and he has 20 points.
2 guys on him.
What did that heat check tell us?
He's pretty good. Jackson been a big part for Minnesota with Shaq on the bench. Mark, who's 6'10", about 270, using that size that Tom talked about. But the Wolves need somebody to slow this guy down. 20 points, Kobe Bryant. The Lakers lead is 14. As the Lakers have done virtually nothing wrong, and Minnesota's got to hope for some luck from the Easter Bunny and everything else to get back in the game. Let's check in with Michelle.
Well, Flip Saunders told us, Brad, that when the coaching staff had their first meeting, they spent the first hour trying to decide, do we let Shaq and Kobe get theirs and choke everybody else off, or do we just clamp down on Shaq and Kobe and make the other guys beat us? And he said you go back and forth, and you have to pick and choose, but you also have to understand the Lakers' philosophy, and that's where it gets difficult, Brad.
Both doses of poison are on the floor at the same time right now. Shaq's back in, Kobe's still out there with 20.
But Shaq hasn't had to do anything, and the Timberwolves still down by 13.
22.
15. I think your 50-point number is a bit conservative.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm low on it. He scored all 10 points for the Lakers this quarter.
As perfect as the Lakers are playing, the Wolves are fortunate to be down only 13 points.
And it's not like Minnesota's playing terribly, really. It's the Lakers almost perfect.
Well, you've got Shaq and Kobe, who are 2 of the greatest players in the history of basketball, both playing fabulous ball. The role players like Devin George, Fox, Derek Fisher, Madsen, they're all knocking down shots. What's the poor boy to do?
Lakers are shooting 64% from the floor. I tell you what, Mark Jackson, he is helping keep Minnesota at least in the vicinity. He's got 9 points off the bench, and Minnesota has a 19-1 advantage, a 19-2 advantage in bench points.
Nice passing by the big man.
And now Devin George has hit back-to-back buckets after it was all Kobe up to that point.
Such confidence, such poise, such leadership by Shaq.
And Pargo with a foul.
the eyes of Shaquille O'Neal. The ability to get everybody else involved, to make it happen, make them the stars in the short term, knowing that the whole reason it all exists is because of him.
Strickland from 15 got it.
Well, they're not missing much either here in the second quarter. I mean, they're scoring well in the second quarter. They just can't. And that's why I always say Shaq's the most dominant guy in the game, because he makes things easier for everybody else. That's why guys get open jump shots, because you got a double him.
Minnesota trying to urge its team on. The fans, 13's about as close as they've been in a while. Kobe knew where Pargo was when he was trapped on the baseline. Gets it back from the rookie and got it. I'm running out of room in the scorebook here. He's got 24.
Bill's running out of room in the adjective book. What else do you say?
He didn't say anything that time, did he? Minnesota turns it over. There have been very few turnovers.
That was the most conventional shot that Kobe has had in this incredible run.
LA's hit its last 5 shots. Shaq missed that one. Garnett the rebound.
Keep running if you're Minnesota. Try to get an open look.
Strickland got it. That's some of that veteran experience that Flip Saunders was telling Michelle about.
But if you're going to do that at the expense of not letting Troy Hudson make his contributions, what have you really gained?
O'Neal just lost the handle. Might have been stripped from behind. Kobe Bryant gets it back. No call. And Shaq, the recipient of the dish.
Uh-oh, this is not good. Fans throwing things on the court.
They did not like the steal of Kobe Bryant's. And they stood up as one and then started throwing things on the Lakers' end of the floor. And here's the play we're talking about. This is right after Zerbiak had stolen the ball.
That's a foul. Can't stick your arm in there.
And the easy dish to Shaquille O'Neal, who's got 10.
Minnesota's going to take a timeout and try to regroup here. Down 15.
With 5:13 remaining, first half from Minneapolis. Attentions during the timeout turn to the NBA Love It Live Tour. Here's some guys you love to watch play, the legends of the game. Bill Russell, Moses Malone, George Gervin, Tiny Archibald, Bob Lanier, Commissioner David Stern, and our Ahmad Rashad sitting between them. And those guys got a huge ovation here, as well they should.
Hall of Famers, all of them. Bill Russell, 11 championships. George Gervin, one of the great scorers and ambassadors of this game. Tiny Archibald, the only player in the history of the league to lead the NBA in scoring and assists in the same season. Bob Lanier, almost 20,000 points, 10,000 rebounds. Moses Malone, 3-time MVP world champion. A Love It Live tour bus.
You were part of that last year.
Rolls out of the depot.
Now a foul called as Garnett was handling it. Checking with David Aldridge.
Guys, one of the things we see Kobe with a great start, and this is one of the reasons why Phil Jackson says he can coach differently than most coaches in the regular season and in the playoffs, because he has 2 dominant players. He can spot them. You saw that Kobe got off while Shaq was resting. Now they'll try to pound Shaq. Well, Kobe's getting a little bit of a blow. He says it keeps the Lakers from having those dry spells that kill other teams during the playoffs.
Get a load of this, guys. Minnesota is shooting 75% from the floor this quarter. With that, they've cut the lead from 16 to 15. I mean, come on.
Discouraging?
A little bit. Shaq on the feed from Kobe. Nice little hang time by Shaquille O'Neal.
What balance. What decision making. What positioning.
Lead back to 17.
I want to go ask Bill Russell what he would do in this situation.
I don't think anything. When the guy outweighs by $1.25.
Well, it's tough because, Russ he's past his mid-60s.
Yeah, I think if he stepped out here right now, he'd have a bit of trouble.
I don't know. He looked pretty good on the bus this morning at breakfast.
Well, that's the one thing about Shaq, just the position that he's able to get when he wants it. And if you slip off him, you're talking about maybe the best defensive center of all time, right there in Bill Russell. But there's no one that I've seen. You've seen Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, that could guard that guy.
Timeout taken by the Lakers.
And Ori, in his exasperation, the fact that everybody ran away from him, slammed the ball down. The fans wanted some sort of referee control. They did not get it. Lakers in complete control. And what are the Timberwolves going to do about it?
The Verizon Wireless Halftime Report coming up. Highlights of Game 1. We'll talk about the brackets in the East and the West. And we'll hear from Ahmad Rashad, his thoughts on the playoffs 2003. Plus, maybe the one guy who could stop Shaquille O'Neal in the postseason. Bill Russell will join us for a live chat as we see you on the Verizon Wireless Halftime Report in a little bit.
All right, Mike, look out behind you. Shaq's right behind you when you said that. He was a ways away, at least. Verizon Wireless Halftime Report about 4:24 away.
Could he
Half
guard him?
dominated by the Lakers.
Could he guard him, Bill?
You don't play basketball as a one-man sport. It's a team game. You mentioned that yourself in the pregame.
True, but you still have to be able to guard your guy.
Absolutely. But you have to do it in conjunction with a team strategy. And Bill Russell was the master at that, the master of the position. Wilt Chamberlain had his biggest and best games against Bill Russell. All of Wilt's records came head-to-head against Bill Russell. Yet Russell was able to still win.
Tip in by Nesterovich.
Well, important to get a little bit of momentum here going the last 3.5 minutes and just hope the Lakers can cool off somewhat.
And one of our officials, Dan Crawford, went down in a heap on the baseline as he calls the foul on Gary Trent, his first.
There was a lot of question coming in. How would Shaq deal with the personal issues? Congratulations to him on the birth of his newest son, but also sadness for the death of his maternal grandmother. Phil Jackson telling us before the game he's had to deal with this once before. In their second championship run with the Bulls, Scottie Pippen's dad died early on in the playoffs. So Scottie actually had to miss a game because of that, yet the Bulls and Scottie were able to recover and move on, winning that championship.
Fisher and Fox each with 3 threes in this first half. Minnesota, they don't have a 3 yet. You start getting outscored by 20-some points from outside the arc. But Lakers are 7 out of 10. Under 3 minutes, Kobe Bryant hadn't scored in a while. It was time to.
Just hadn't shot in a while.
26 points for Kobe Bryant. The lead swells to 20.
Well, the last time I saw numbers register this high this quick, I was at the gas station.
They're coming down, and the Wolves can only hope the Lakers do too.
That's a tough shot. Come to a dead stop against Robert Horry like that.
Nice. Oh, nice job by Trent to stay with it.
Generally speaking, in the NBA, you give yourself a 50, 55-point quarter, what the T-Wolves certainly could do. You're looking pretty good. Not today.
Shaq is just moving so magnificently without the ball. When he gets it, he's doing whatever he wants.
See what he wants this time. Baseline. And Garnett will rip down the rebound.
They've got numbers, the Wolves.
Garnett backpedals to get enough space over Shaquille O'Neal again. That's the second time he's done that in a half.
What a touch. What decision-making by Garnett.
Minnesota needs a couple of stops here before halftime. The crowd has tried 2 or 3 times. Ball out of bounds. So a turnover by the Lakers is their second only of the half. Wait a minute, they got to change their mind here.
They have no conference. These fans here are so hungry. It's tough for the Timberwolves because their own fans don't believe in them yet, having never won a playoff series.
Minnesota Wild, their hockey team kept alive against the Avalanche last night. The Vikings have never won a Super Bowl. The Twins have won 2 World Series. That's what this city and this state has to show for it, other than the old Minneapolis Lakers who won a handful of crowns.
5 titles, 4 Hall of Famers on that team, including a Hall of Fame coach, John Kundla. But those titles for the Minneapolis Lakers, 1949 and 50, took a year off and then won 3 straight, 52, 53, 54.
Of course, in the modern era, this is how it's gone. Houston first. Closest they were was with Seattle in '97, then San Antonio did it to them twice, Portland and Dallas last year in 3 straight. Those are the first-round frustrations. You gotta be kidding me.
That's enough.
The Timberwolves, this is their best team they've ever had, but they're playing the best opponent they've ever faced in the playoffs.
Fisher goes up for the shot, and it's out of bounds to Minnesota. Kobe Bryant has just been unbelievable. Watch this.
These shots are not sneaking in. They're not bouncing in. Luckily, he's 12 for 16. And every single ball has just gone right down the middle with the net barely flickering.
He's done it every way you can do it.
Nice passing.
Nesterovic this time, he takes a little off it and does get the hook off the glass over Shaquille O'Neal.
Kobe's played so well that Shaq's had to do so very little other than be the decoy.
Devin George. They missed the 3 there. Hudson all the way through traffic. Nice drive, didn't finish. Garnett did.
And then Garnett, the ball came right through. He just pushed it right into Robert Horry's stomach. Robert Horry looked at the refs and said, what's going on here?
They cut it to 14 and they get a standing ovation. O'Neal might be the last shot of the half. It's off the mark. The Timberwolves survive 2 quarters is the best way to put it, I think.
Now that's a great team, the Lakers. The Wolves have their work cut out for them.
Kobe Bryant, you just saw 28 points in the first half. Most first half points allowed by the Timberwolves all season long. The Lakers lead by 14 as we check in with D.A. and Kobe.
Kobe, when you all shoot the ball like that, is there anybody on this planet that can deal with you?
I don't know. It's difficult for any team to contend with us when we shoot that well.
When you wanted to pound Shaq early, but you seemed to get it going yourself very quickly in the first half.
Well, I was just taking my time. Now I realized they're collapsing on me, so I was hitting my teammates for easy layups, and that seemed to open their defense up.
You said before the game that you guys are such a great road team. What do you think the impact is of taking this team out, taking this crowd out early? How does that help you?
Well, the crowd plays a big part in the home team as far as their emotion and generating energy, so it's important to kind of keep them quiet.
All right, Kobe, thanks very much. Good luck second half. Back to you, Brad.
He's kept them about as quiet as you possibly could with 28 first half points, leading the Lakers to a 14-point halftime advantage. The Verizon Wireless halftime report with Mike Tirico is coming up. Mike will have the scores and highlights from the other games and a chat with Hall of Famer Bill Russell. That's yet to come, but the first half belonged to the 3-time defending champion Lakers. They did it every way you could. They lead 66-52. Halftime in Minneapolis, a dominant performance by the Los Angeles Lakers, the defending champions. They lead Minnesota by 14. I think it could be worse, fellas. You're talking about a team that shot 61%, the Lakers in the first half, 7 threes, almost flawless. They didn't have a turnover for the first 18 and a half minutes. Minnesota, I don't know. They're kind of looking now, just that late surge they had just to cut it down to 14. I think they can play now at least.
But it was the impeccable perfection of the Los Angeles Lakers, who from the opening tap showed why they are indeed one of the great teams in the history of basketball. Yes, it was Kobe Bryant, but it was also Derek Fisher, who had 2 threes on his first 2 touches. Kobe Bryant showed everything. The back to the basket game, the defense, one of the game's premier defenders. Kobe Bryant also able to set up his teammate Shaquille O'Neal. When things just got too easy, Kobe Bryant kept stepping further and further away from the basket. What can you do to stop him other than maybe put 5 guys on him? And then that's just going to leave Shaq to do whatever he wants to do.
40 between the two, 12 for Garnett. Not a terrible half for Kevin Garnett, Tom.
No, I think Kevin Garnett played fairly well during the first half. We said he's going to have to do more than his season numbers to help win this series, but you look at what the Lakers did. Kobe's not going to go 24 for 32, I don't think. He could, the way he's going. Percentages would dictate he's not. Shaq shot the ball well. Sure, if you're Minnesota, you get on a little bit of a roll, and you can be right back in it.
You need a lesson in probability theory.
Let's check in with Michelle Tafoya.
Well, Flip Saunders said coming out of the locker room, he said, hey, if they can shoot 60% from behind the arc for the whole series, we'll just shake their hands and say, hey, great series, you deserve it. But he doesn't think they can do that. He said one of the problems for his offense, they've been playing well, but he said we're always facing a set Laker defense because they're hitting every shot and they're having a chance to get back and set up the defense. That's what we're going against. Let's check in now with David Aldridge on the other side.
Michelle, the Lakers expect the Timberwolves to try to do something to change the tempo. They know they did not get many fast break opportunities in the first half. But the Lakers think as long as they keep moving the ball and getting good shots and knocking them down, they can keep taking the ball out of the net, and that takes care of Minnesota's fast break. Back to you guys.
First couple minutes of this third quarter will be vital to the Wolves if they are to be in the hunt. And they throw it away. That's not a good way to start it. Hudson threw it. Joe Smith wasn't looking for it. And the Timberwolves turn it over.
Joe Smith just ran away from the ball with the pressure being exerted by the great Laker backcourt, Fisher and Kobe Bryant. Fox up there as well. You've got to always maintain concentration on that ball.
Fisher left open momentarily, packs it inside to O'Neal. And the foul inside.
Shaq moving without the ball, though. So good the way he puts his lead arm up and underneath the defender, Rashan Nesterovic, so that he allows himself to get across the lane, even though Rashan Nesterovic was there first.
Shaquille O'Neal's first free throw attempt to the ball game coming here in the third quarter. He's been a vastly improved free throw shooter.
Career best for Shaq this year, 62% and rising like the temperature.
He doesn't fall back anymore. He used to fall back a lot on his free throws. You notice now, in good rhythm, he's falling forward.
Got them both.
Shaq soon to be making free throw videos.
No.
Garnett dishes inside to Nesterovic, and he got the hook.
We've seen this high-low interchange all season long between Garnett and Nesterovic. Nesterovic is going to have to become ultimately a stronger finisher.
See if Kobe Bryant has cooled off.
That's a tough shot.
Probably not a good indicator of whether he's cooled off, but he did miss it. And the foul's going to be on Zerbiak.
Finally, he gets a little mismatch. He's had Kobe on him all day, and in the transition, which the Timberwolves are desperately trying to get to every single time, he had Fisher on him in the low post, and then
here's Hudson.
Just lazy, and Kobe knew it.
Down to 12 points. Remember, it was as high as 20.
These fans are great.
They're trying, aren't they? Fox, bad pass. Hudson runs down court all the way. And Fox with a foul.
I think Fox is saying he kicked it. He kicked it. And it looked initially like he kicked it, but I'm not sure. You're going to see right there, Kobe, that was just a lazy pass. Didn't even look. No reason for that. And let's see if the ball gets kicked. It's hard to tell if it was a hand or a foot.
I think it might have ricocheted off Garnett's lower leg. But
how low? If it goes off his knee, that's not a kick ball. Timberwolves obviously regrouped at halftime and come out with some fresh spirit.
Hudson got them both. So the Laker turnover turns into 2 points. Minnesota within 10. Last time they had it down to 10 was 20-12 with 5 minutes left in the first quarter. Crowd begging for another stop. Fisher's open.
What was on the line? Shaq is down. Wolves have to capitalize here.
Chance to cut it to single digits.
Boy, you get your superstar wide open.
Hey.
There's another guy wide open. Joe Smith. Got it! Single digits for the first time in a long time. will be around a pick over Zerbiak. Air ball, out of bounds, Minnesota.
Phil Jackson at some point has to ask, why hasn't Shaq touched the ball in the low box?
16-4 run going back to the end of the second quarter for Minnesota. Garnett. Nesterovic almost tipped it in, just trying to get a hand on the rebound. That would have been big. It would have been a 6-point game. We said the first 3 minutes or so of this quarter would be vital. It's been a good one for Minnesota, but it's still the Lakers by 8. Madsen, tough catch in low, and he's pushed. And a chance for a 3-point play for Mark Madsen.
He just does a good job of working and working. You see the Timberwolves right here. Nice skip pass to Joe Smith in the corner. Wide open. And then Mark Madsen just working. Nobody paying him much attention. Just work, pump fake, boom.
In talking to the Minnesota staff, top to bottom, the strategy is, look, make Shaq and Kobe beat you. Don't let these other guys like Madsen, Derek Fisher, Ori, Fox just stand out there and have huge numbers.
Madsen got the 2, but he is not going to be making free throw videos either. Misses a chance for a 3-point play. 10-point ball game. First missed free throw by the Lakers. Oh, Garnett got away with a walk off the glass.
This crowd is phenomenal. They are so hungry.
They've stayed with it even when their team was down 64-44. That was the Lakers' biggest lead. Nice hustle by Smith, almost forcing a turnover.
Game is getting very physical out here, and the players have to be able to play through the fact that the referees are not calling literally anything, including a blatant traveling violation right in front of everyone.
8:20 remaining third quarter. Nice job by Kobe Bryant to get free for the shot. Shaquille cleans up his miss.
Well, that halftime break seems to have really disrupted Kobe's rhythm. He's probably the last guy that wanted to go in at halftime.
Hudson around everybody. Madsen got him with a body, even though he got the ball en route.
The guys like Nesterovic, Hudson, and Joe Smith are playing much better here. Shaquille O'Neal has such an ability to establish that position early, anticipating the shot is going to be missed.
Hudson, one of the best free throw shooters in the NBA this year, 90% on the season. So he has 5 points of his 7 here in this quarter.
But Kevin McHale and Flip Saunders have put together a team here of guys that nobody else really wanted. Troy Hudson bounced around so many times. Joe Smith could never find a home.
Hudson last year was with Orlando. Chauncey Billups was the point guard for Minnesota in their playoffs last year, and they were swept by Dallas. Backdoor cut by Fox, broken up by Garnett. 8-point game, Minnesota trying to make it 6. Nesterovic, and he gets away with a walk because he was fouled.
Now the Timberwolves are playing their game. What Flip Saunders said they had to do, find the rhythm and identity. The back cut is there. But the long arms of the recovering defender able to poke that ball away, and the loose ball is starting to go for Minnesota right now.
Nesterovic first trip to the free throw line on the afternoon. Rasho was out a couple of weeks in the middle of the season with a bad ankle.
He sprained that ankle here against the Lakers, and it was in the third quarter, and the Wolves were playing outstanding basketball. They had the lead against the Lakers. The crowd was going wild. Nesterovic turned that ankle, couldn't continue. The Lakers came back and won the game.
He misses the second free throw, so the lead is down to 7 with 7:35 to go third quarter. Brad Nessler, Bill Walton, Tom Tolbert, Michelle Tafoya, David Aldridge, Mike Tirico with you from Minneapolis. From behind, Garnett got a piece of Kobe Bryant's shot. And then a foul.
Very physical game right now. Kobe trying to shoot with 2 and 3 guys on him. That's not working right now. It did in the first half. And the takedown preventing the fast break.
see the shooting. Minnesota great in this quarter, and it's getting better. 5-point ball game.
This year, the Timberwolves established the Target Center as one of the dominant home courts in the entire league.
They were 33-8 at home this year, second best in the business.
And we talked earlier about sometimes forgetting about Shaq for 3 or 4 minutes.
Rick Fox misses a 3 after hitting 3 in the first half. Smith and Madsen jump ball.
You're never going to have a chance to beat the Lakers unless you are completely dominant on the weak side on the defensive boards.
And great job by Hudson right there, getting into the middle and whoo!
Just
George
over the
Gervin had to like that one.
What did
Finger roll?
What did Phil Jackson tell us, though? We have to deny penetration. You let guys come down the lane, it's just not going to work for Los Angeles.
Lakers control the tip. Kobe Bryant has yet to score in this third quarter. Still hasn't. Rebound, Garnett. Minnesota can make it a 3-point game. Hudson feeling it this quarter. That one's blocked by Shaq.
This building is getting ready to explode if the Timberwolves actually take the lead.
They have never led. Trailed by as many as 20. Madsen, nice dish to O'Neal, had it stripped by Hudson. Now Garnett's got Zerbiak wide open, they don't spot it.
They got numbers, though.
Terrible shot off what was a 3-on-2. And now Shaq with a dish to Kobe, and Joe Smith fouls him.
What an ugly break. You got a guy wide open on a fly pattern. Don't hit him.
And Flip Saunders is over there saying, calm down.
They have cut into the lead big time, though, with 5:50 to go third quarter. It's down to a 5-point game.
Back in Minneapolis, the Timberwolves have cut this lead to 5. They're making it quite a game. What an opening weekend. Great individual performances. How is this stacked up with what you'd hope for the first weekend?
We're watching one of the great games here. I think the poor Wolves, they shoot 55%, and the Lakers shoot 60-some-odd% on three-point shots. It's been a great opening weekend.
Some people have said, poor Minnesota. I mean, they finally get home court for that first round, and they draw the Lakers. What would you say to those fans?
I would say they're playing the best number 5 seed in the history of the NBA, but they held them pretty well during the season, and they got a very good team. So let's play.
The way things are going, what do you expect for the rest of these playoffs?
You saw it, very tightly contested series and a lot of enthusiasm.
What about the individual performances? What has stood out to you? Marbury was phenomenal yesterday. Kobe's been great today.
It's a league of stars. They're the best players in the world, and they're only getting better. With the international influx, there are just more and more people in this world playing basketball.
It's great to have you here in Minnesota. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks to you and to ABC.
All right, let's send it back to Brad and the guys.
Thanks, Michelle. Kobe Bryant's first point here of this quarter after 28 in the first half, and he gets both free throws.
The best part of the halftime talk that Flip Saunders gave was that his guys didn't throw in the towel and get intimidated. They've come out now and shown that they can play with this Lakers squad.
Hudson's had a big quarter. That shot's off the mark. Kobe Bryant without a field goal so far in the third.
The Lakers only 2 for 10 after shooting a high percentage in the first half. He just got to figure you keep plugging away, playing good defense, and they got to hit a lull.
But they've got 3 turnovers, the Lakers do.
Kobe just inside the 3-point line. If he starts getting it back, that could spell doom for the Wolves.
How great is this Laker team? Phil Jackson, they're running their offense through Mark Madsen.
Kevin Garnett has only 14 points, if you want to put it that way. Against Madsen, with a shot clock winding down, he's got 2 more.
Lakers still not double teaming Garnett. No real need to. He's not on a huge run.
Fisher hits a 3. That is his 4th 3-pointer of the afternoon.
I don't know what is it about that guy, but when he hits a shot, it always seems to mean something. It's always a big shot. Something to continue a rally or end somebody else's rally.
Garnett, the long step in the paint. And they wave off the basket. Fouled before the shot. Foul's going to be on Manson, I believe.
The luxury that Phil Jackson has. The ability of guys like Kobe Bryant to just step back, rise above the crowd. Beautiful execution, the theory, fake one way, come back the other, turn your back to him, get in the air and deliver. But with Derek Fisher continuing to put daggers in the dreams and hopes of the Timberwolves, Fisher 4 for 5 from behind the three-point line.
Kevin Garnett, meanwhile, missed the free throw. Another double-double for him. That's just a regular occurrence.
That's just the first free throw attempt of the game. And
missed them both.
When you're as good as Kevin Garnett, you've got to make guys like Mark Madsen foul you. That's how you dictate tempo.
Slips back to a double-digit Laker lead, courtesy of that three-pointer by Fisher moments ago. 3 seconds on the Lakers, so another turnover. Twice as many in this quarter as they had in the whole first half.
Phil Jackson perplexed, saying, what is going on here? Never called that since Shaq was a rookie.
Well, they actually made him get up off the bench. That's a rare.
Strickland in there. Nesterovic, the outside jump shot. Rasho, big shot there.
Tom, never mistake activity for achievement.
Believe me, I'm not.
Inside. Madsen trying to bring it back outside, threw it away, and Fox with a foul. Fourth on Rick Fox.
Now Mark Madsen got caught up in the air. He wanted to shoot it, and then he wanted to pass it, and then he just threw it away. But right here, a nice job by Strickland over to Nesterovic. Shaq not going to come out on the jump, and then right there, let me shoot, should I pass? Now let me just put them together and throw it away.
One of the things that the Timberwolves are really going to have to establish in this series, if they're going to have ultimate success, and I'm not just talking about one game, it's the ability to establish a set rotation and figure out who is going to play when and how, so that they're putting some sort of mental consternation in the mind process of the Lakers.
All right, guys. As we get ready for the next free throw reminder, you can catch live NBA playoff action in high definition on NBA TV. Reggie Miller and the Pacers host Antoine Walker, Paul Pierce, and the Celtics. Pacers and Celtics game 2 in high definition tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. only on NBA TV. Strickland's got 10 points off the Minnesota bench, and it's down to a 6-point game. Now the chance of defense begin to ring around target center. That's not quite the kind of defense they were looking for. Foul on Garnett.
Well, generally, players that are standing on the court don't fall over by themselves.
You have to call this.
Speaking. When a guy falls over, and he didn't push him that hard, but it's a combination of him not having his balance and Kevin Garnett forced him out of bounds. It's a call that has to be made.
Rick lost his own balance there, though.
I mean, unless he has vertigo that we don't know about.
And he missed the free throw. All of Rick's points came in the first quarter, all on three-pointers.
But Rick Fox truly one of the great role players of this era. Willingly took less money to come and play for the Lakers before Shaq ever got there. One of the few guys they kept when they decimated the roster to clear the financial space to acquire Shaq. And it's paid off magnificently with the 3 championships.
Strickland wheeling around Fisher. Fisher stole it from him, but he stepped on the baseline. Quick hands by Derek Fisher defensively.
Well, Fisher will get after you. I mean, look at his body for a point guard. He's a little pit bull. Arms up, across the arms, and he had it. It looks like he may have stepped on the line right there. I don't know. If I was Flip Saunders, I would have thrown out the red beanbag.
That's a challenge, huh? Well, it was a possession change, so he did steal it before he stepped. Nope, now they're going to change it. They're going to put back. They had 24 seconds. Now they go to 9 seconds. And Wally Szczerbiak off the inbound. Got it.
They've executed that perfectly both times. Kevin Garnett is releasing the ball before the guy's even open.
5 points. Close as it's been since it was 6-2, 4 points in the first quarter. Robert Horry. Not that time. Garnett the rebound.
This is 2 weeks in a row that we have not seen a dominating performance from Horry.
Fox has just picked up his 5th foul. Minnesota's bench has really helped, but the starter, Zerbiak, has made it as close as it's been in a long time with 2:49 to go in the third.
It's really important to come out in game number 1 and try and nip that game, try and take that game from this team. They're good on their home court. I mean, they're real good.
Didn't look like they were going to nip it at the beginning. Looked like they were going to gobble it, but Minnesota just hung in there and stayed with it. And now in the third quarter, they've taken what was a 20-point deficit in the second quarter and turned it into a ball game. They trail by only 5. Zerbiak off the inbounds the last time Minnesota had the ball. And as we take a look at our Miller Lite storyline in this one, Kobe Bryant has been the man for the Lakers with 32 points. Their bench only 4, while the Wolves have scored 27. Kevin Garnett 16 and 11. But dating back to the second half, Minnesota on a run that has put them in the ball game. Bill?
Phil Jackson knows full well the importance of winning the first game. The numbers are staggering. Phil Jackson has never lost a playoff series in which his team has won the first game. 35-0 in such series during his soon-to-be Hall of Fame coaching career.
He's won 24 consecutive playoff series coming into this one. First time ever against Minnesota in round 1. Gary Trent got the second of 2. 4-point ball game with 2:45 remaining on this Easter Sunday. If you just joined us, stay with us. If you've been with us all day, you've seen Minnesota come back from the dead. O'Neal in the paint and a foul.
The anticipation of the Laker offense, knowing how all the pieces fit. One of the things about Phil Jackson is that every player on his team knows every option. And so Shaq is already in the lane before the ball has even been swung to the high post with the dump down on the weak side, duck in.
Shaq hit both his previous free throws, and he's still on a roll from the free throw line.
Question is, where has that been? Where has that been here in the third quarter?
We talked about that in the pregame show. The Lakers, the only time they really get in trouble is when they abandon Shaq.
You may be onto something with that video. Those look pretty good right there.
I'm old enough to remember when Shaq used to miss free throws.
Well, he still misses a few.
Kevin Garnett rims out a jump shot. Robert Horry there for the rebound.
Wally Zerbiak's got to find a way to get more involved in the offense. I know Kobe's on him, and Kobe's a great defender, but as an all-star type player, you just got to find certain ways.
Devin George played collegiately in this city at Augsburg College, and he buries a 3.
But how frustrating. They come so close to Timberwolves. Kevin Garnett, their best player, their MVP candidate, wide open at 18 feet, can't get it to go. And then Devin George, another dagger.
Maybe that's what Tom was talking about, but Zerbiak missed the 3. And it's a whistle and a foul on Nesterovic.
And the Laker ball move.
And a technical on Nesterovic. And that won't help the cause.
But Nesterovic had his say early, and Dan Crawford, the referee, standing right there next to him, let it go. And then Nesterovic came back for a second sitting.
Some Slovenian slang at the end didn't help him. As Bill said, he had his first say. Right there, it was passed. Now when he walks by, he looks back, says something right there, and boom.
Phil Jackson has not lost a playoff series since Orlando in 1995.
O'Neal missed his first free throw of the day. Minnesota had cut the lead down to 4. The Lakers have scored 6 straight points since.
I think that was the last time Pro Jam was a hot band.
That was the year that Michael Jordan only played the final 17 games of the regular season. Came back that memorable day in Indianapolis.
Back to 11 for the Lakers. A minute 45 of the third quarter.
The double high post.
Strickland trying to shake Fisher, and he can't. Trent got George up in the air and now tries to fade one over Shaquille O'Neal.
Devin George is playing outstanding basketball.
Lob, Shaq can't quite handle it, but he saves it.
What balance. What court awareness. He's calling for it, the big man. Feed him.
There it is, and he's fouled again. They're going to make Shaq earn them.
They've got enough guys that will allow them to get physical with Shaq. But Shaq's tippy-toe move along the baseline, and then they come right back to him. And his ability to use the backside, so broad, so thick, so powerful, just rushing guys, and his athleticism does not get near the credit it deserves.
After hitting his first 4 free throws, he's missed 2 of his last 3 now. As Healer checks back in, and Garnett will get a breather.
Well, not only that, and not to feel sorry for Shaq with how big he is, he gets a mess beat at him every single night with fouls just like that one right there. Because if you don't foul him that hard, he'll take you up for the ride.
He dishes it out, though, too.
Oh, there's no question. There's no question he dishes it out.
Every great offensive player is the guy who initiates the contact.
Leads back to 12 as Shaq has 20. Strickland out to Zerbiak for 3. Did he get the roll? No. Here comes Kobe Bryant.
Laker defense is so solid.
Nice ball movement. Devin George packs it into the big fella. Now Fisher's wide open momentarily. Gets Zerbiak to commit. Missed the shot.
Devin George everywhere.
And threw it away. 38.7 remaining in the third quarter.
Phil Jackson calmly looks away. He knows it's about the effort. That's all he can ask for out of his guys. Neither team with a foul to give here in the closing seconds of the third.
Less than a half minute in the third. Strickland trying to adjust in midair, and he threw it away.
The way Shaq moved to the ball, his sense of anticipation, remarkable.
Well, for all they've done, the Timberwolves here in the third quarter, if the Lakers score to end this, they will have played them even throughout the third.
After the great push by the Wolves to get it to 4. Jump stop by Kobe Bryant. No foul called. Outlet pass. Zerbiak at the buzzer. Almost. Hit the back of the iron. So it was a 20-point Laker lead in the first half. They led by 14 at halftime. They're still up by 12. This ABC Sports presentation of the NBA will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Kobe Bryant on his last drive felt he was fouled by Jackson on the inside. You see the jump stop. There was no call, and he went to the official, Dan Crawford, to talk about it.
No. You know what? If he brought them together, he's got them straight up, and he was pretty strong.
It doesn't matter. If he brings his arms together,
then you're absolutely right. See, I didn't see him closing.
They aren't world champions by just being talented. They use their head a little bit, too, and try to get in yours. They've gotten in the Timberwolves for 3 quarters, 88-76, and here we go in the fourth quarter.
Flip Saunders told us before the game about the necessity to win this first game, to get the confidence necessary to move on.
Joe Smith, it's his 4th foul. The biggest lead lost by the Lakers this year in defeat was also 12. It was Christmas to Sacramento.
That confidence is really going to only come, though, from the brilliance of Kevin Garnett and whether he can single-handedly turn this game around.
O'Neal fades in the lane, and the big fella with a one-hand shot has 22.
Well, one of the things they haven't been able to do, and they did it for a little bit when they made their comeback in the third, was get out in the open court. You got to be able to force them to miss shots.
Look at Shaq closing out defensively. He's in transition. He's wide open.
The momentum kept him going. They couldn't stop.
Lakers have scored 10 straight points. Or he missed a 3 badly.
Well, he's only got so many of them, and he's not going to waste them.
Well, Robert Horry's playing in his 32nd playoff series. 5th most active
Two bad-looking shots, one by Jackson, one by Peeler on Minnesota's last 2 trips, and that won't get him any closer.
Scottie Pippen is #1 of the active players in most playoff series. Michael Jordan just retired. Stockton and Karl Malone as they battle the Sacramento Kings.
Battled, all right.
Shaq, same move, same result.
Well, it's so funny when they do that. It just seems so easy. It seems so logical. And then when they get in trouble, sometimes they forget about him down there.
Minnesota's going to take a timeout.
Flip Saunders are going to talk to about some defensive adjustments here.
The lead has swelled back to 16, which matches the biggest advantage of the second half by the Lakers. 10:35 to go in the ball game. Los Angeles stretching its lead. Shaquille O'Neal has the 2 Laker buckets this quarter.
The complete repertoire. The beautiful execution, initiating the contact, turning to his right shoulder. He hasn't had to use the jump hook much today. Faking that jump hook, which is his primary weapon with his back to the basket that far away. What are you going to do?
Minnesota hasn't hit a field goal in about 5 minutes. Garnett hits one there.
A jump hook of his own for Kevin Garnett.
18 points for Kevin Garnett.
He unfolds like an accordion, doesn't he? I mean, he is just long.
Kicked the ball as Evan George attempted to feed Shaquille O'Neal.
With all the legends that we have here in attendance today, time to pay due credit to Billy McGill from Los Angeles, who invented the jump hook back in the mid-50s.
Kobe, double team, still shoots.
What a pass.
Horry there to clean it up.
It's just so hard to defend the Lakers when they can throw those lob passes to guys, because you're trying to position yourself to get the rebound, and you think it's going to be a shot when in reality it's a pass.
Whistle and a foul. Let's check in with D.A.
Well, guys, Robert Horry said that the Lakers haven't really talked about the quest for a 4th straight title because of superstition, but he's got his own personal goal in mind. If he wins another championship, that will give him 6 for his career. It means he'd pass guys like Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, or he tied Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen, and he'd pass Magic Johnson. As Horry said, that's not bad for a guy who was called the most overrated player in the country coming out of high school, guys.
Who said that about Robert Horry?
Do you want to know? You really want to know?
I do want to know.
He says it was a guy named Dick Vitale.
Unbelievable. Robert Horry, one of the great shot blockers in SEC history when he was playing center for Alabama. Then he comes on and plays for Houston, teams up with Hakeem Olajuwon for a couple of titles in his first 2 seasons.
Here is Horry, guarded by Garnett. Minnesota trying to press the issue defensively with 9.5 minutes to go, trailing by 15. Shaq missed the hook, and the rebound comes to Horry.
Well, early on in the game, it was an explosion by the Lakers. Now it's just methodically wearing them down.
They're tightening that tourniquet again.
Kobe Bryant.
Throw it down.
35 for Bryant.
Big men can't rotate off of Shaq.
Peeler on the baseline jumper. And he's gone cold after getting some points in the first half from the outside.
Seems to be a real scramble right now as Minnesota certainly lost a lot of steam they had. No loss there.
That looks like scrambled eggs from floor cam. It's 96-79. NBA playoff time for Minneapolis here on ABC on this Easter Sunday afternoon. Our Toyota Game Track. Kobe Bryant has been on track, that's for sure. A guy that scored 30 or more points in 16 straight games at one stretch this season, has 35 in this one. Shaquille O'Neal's at it 24. Fisher has hit some big threes. As Tom said, they always seem to matter. Kevin Garnett's had a pretty good ball game with a double-double and 19 points, but it hasn't been nearly enough. And now less than 9 minutes remain, and Minnesota's home court advantage is about to be blown into one of the 10,000 Minnesota lakes in the next 9 minutes unless they do something about it.
The way the Lakers spread it around. So many guys contributing in all different aspects of the game.
George, Bryant, O'Neal, Ori, and Fisher on the floor for the Lakers. Come out and double team Kobe, but move it around the perimeter. 4 on the shot clock. Kobe Bryant, long ball. Did get the front of the rim.
I think Kobe was telling Ori, don't give that ball to me with 3 seconds left in the shot clock. You shoot it.
Not 30 feet away, anyway.
All that passing around the perimeter when you got Shaq. You can't get the ball to Shaq.
Kobe's only 2 out of 10 in this half. Hudson comes down and hits his first basket of the fourth quarter.
Yeah, they're going to have to get hot, and they're going to have to shoot it early in the shot clock. You can't, with being 15 points down, you can't milk the clock, wait for a good shot. The first good shot has got to be launched.
Peeler all over Bryant. Now it's Ori open for 3. Starovich had a hand on the ball and lost it out of bounds.
The battle for position that Nesterovic has lost consistently today. The need to keep your arms up above your shoulders. But when that wild ball comes off, you have a chance to at least make a stab at it.
O'Neal brings it back out. Fisher doesn't take a 3 either time as they get it in to O'Neal. Kobe Bryant got it.
This is like running the practice offense with no defense.
Call it the dummy offense, what they call it.
Probably always your specialty, Tom.
Absolutely.
Now, boys, be nice. Oh, Kevin Garnett. 21 for Garnett. Nice dish from Hudson. And whistle and a foul. On Zerbiak, that'll be 3 on Wally. 17-point lead that the Lakers had a moment ago before that last Minnesota basket is the biggest advantage they've had in this half.
Wow. That
Walker on O'Neal.
That is a bad call. That is perfect execution of the inside pivot from the elbow. You cannot draw up a better move for a big man than that one right there. That was Akeem Olajuwon, Kevin McHale at their best.
Garnett lost the handle, and they're going to say push from behind by Ori. Let's check in with Michelle.
Guys, last year, Kevin Garnett said he didn't enjoy the playoff games, the competition, anything about the postseason. And he said, at the end of the day, basketball is meant to be enjoyed. This is a great challenge, and I can't think of a better way to finally get out of the first round than beating the Lakers. I wouldn't draw it up any other way, but I ask you, Bill and Tom, can he be enjoying this?
Right now, no. There's no way you're enjoying it when you're at home and you're getting your butt handed to you by 13 points. No, this isn't enjoyable.
You enjoy the competition. Yes, they are getting their hat handed to them. What kind of run are we going to see from this Timberwolves squad?
Fisher on a drive off the glass. Fisher with 14. Again, you're right.
But if you're not having fun playing basketball, why play?
No, but it's no fun losing. That's all I'm saying. Sure, you're having
Somebody's got to lose. It's the effort to win, and we've seen that from Kevin Garnett today.
See if anybody can track Kobe Bryant down. No.
Around the back, spinning around. Hey, there's the ball, and it's going for it.
39 for Kobe Bryant.
Another timeout. That's what it's come to. That's all the Timberwolves can resort to at this point.
Kobe Bryant at 28-point first half. Now he's up to 39. Lakers with a big lead. This is ABC Sports, the new home of the NBA Finals. The Lakers putting the NBA on notice right now as they lead 102-85 over Minnesota. Tonight on TNT, New Orleans and Philadelphia get together at 8 o'clock. New Orleans, another one of those teams you kind of worry about having to play. Tomorrow night on NBA TV, Boston and Indiana, 8:30. Friday night on ESPN, Detroit and Orlando get together at 8. Bill and I will be in Portland for the Dallas matchup. That's all coming up this week. Zerbiak trying to stay with his miss and couldn't pull it down. Horry with the rebound as we're down to 5:40 remaining in the ball game.
Come to Shaq right now if you're the Lakers. Let him pick the Wolves defense apart with his passing.
Horry off the elbow. Garnett the rebound.
Yeah, this is not only a statement to the Minnesota Timberwolves, but a statement to the rest of the league. Hello, everybody.
That's what I said. They're putting out notice right now. Hudson with 14 points. Minnesota got it as close as 80-76 with 2:49 left in the third quarter. And then the Lakers became the Lakers again. Fisher's wide open. He hits another three.
The ball movement continues to be flawless. The wide open shots that they get because of the defensive focus having to be concentrated on Shaq down low.
Fisher's fifth three-pointer of the ballgame in 6 attempts, as a matter of fact. He's given up a few of these in the fourth quarter, and this time he just couldn't resist. Perfect straight on top of the circle and knocked it down.
Kobe drawing the double team and then quickly kicking that ball out right into the rhythm of Derek Fisher. The amount of hours spent practicing that.
And there's another three. This time Minnesota finally gets one. A 15-point advantage in the final 4:20 for the Lakers. We'll be with you next Sunday for Game 4 of the series as Nesterovic fouls O'Neal.
Lakers never stop moving. Everybody flowing, thinking, dreaming is one.
Next Sunday, we will have hoops. I just mentioned Game 4 in this first round. Coverage starts next Sunday live at 3 Eastern. ABC Sports Championship Television, home of the NBA Finals.
Well, if the Lakers keep playing like this, I may not go for it.
Finish it early, huh? Just say you can have it.
I mean, it's really, Bill mentioned early in the pregame that the Wolves are going to have to score to win in this series. Well, they are scoring. They just
90 points is not enough.
Yeah. Well, we got 4 minutes left. I mean, they're going to be right around 100 points, if not over.
Your goal has to be 105 as a minimum to have a chance because this Laker defense is so great.
O'Neal with the free throw. 26 for Shaq. 39 for Kobe. Zerbiak through traffic somehow hung long enough not to get beheaded by O'Neal and got it off the glass.
That's the only time all day I've seen him take the ball and try to get to the rim other than just shooting jump shots.
Horry, nice catch. George gives up the shot. Just going to use some clock here, the Lakers, with 3:45 to play.
They're just playing with them right now, the Lakers. Just toying with them as if they're yo-yos.
Bryant leaves it for O'Neal, and he's fouled.
The disciplined nature of the Laker games, getting what they want. Something that Flip Saunders tried to establish early. But it has been all Los Angeles. But Saunders can only scratch his head and go back into the meetings in the film room and say, well, what do we try next?
We'll have to go to plan B. 12 free throws. All this half for Shaq.
Show him the third quarter.
Yeah.
Forget anything else. Don't let the guys for Minnesota watch the first half or this fourth quarter. If you duplicate what you did in the third quarter for 48 minutes, then we got a chance.
Hudson rattled out a two. enjoyed it as he crossed the lane in front of Nesterovic. Kobe Bryant faces up Gill with 3 on the shot clock. And Garnett pulls it down. Gill and Zerbiak run together. They missed the shot. And foul will be on Derek Fisher. And the Lakers can smile. There's less than 3 minutes to go, and they have a commanding lead, 108-92. The Lakers led by 16 over Minnesota at the end of the first quarter, and they led by 14 at halftime. The MVP candidates today, without a doubt, would be the 2 guys that always do the yeoman's work for the Lakers. Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal combined 39 and 27. Kevin Garnett can't do it by himself. He's had a good day, but not a great day by any stretch of his talent.
The Timberwolves and Kevin Garnett were never able to establish how the game would be played. The terms of the conflict were dictated from the opening tap. Derek Fisher knocks down that 3. Timberwolves have been playing catch-up ever since.
They got it down to 4 in the third quarter, and then the Lakers made a run and stretched it out to a lead of 12 at the end of 3. And right now, lead 108-94.
Well, when it comes down to it, quite simply, the Wolves have to play closer to their maximum efficiency than the Lakers do to win this series. They have to play almost perfect ball to beat the Lakers. Lakers have a much bigger margin of error.
Well, the Lakers are going to play great. You can't expect that the Lakers are going to come out and stink it up here.
You hope they don't shoot 62% in the first half, though. That doesn't help the cause.
But right now, the Los Angeles Lakers are just beaming. You look up and down that bench, you look at the stands behind them, you see their owner, Dr. Jerry Buss, is having the time of his life, the smile, the sense of pride and accomplishment.
Jerry's so happy he's got some Skittles going on there. Fruit flavor.
There you go.
There's a lot of flavor to this game. Nesterovic just got rejected by O'Neal.
Well, that had leather flavor to it.
Oh,
right
boy,
there.
I guess. 5 block shots for Shaq. 3rd time this year in 5 games against Minnesota that he's had 5 blocks or more against the Wolves.
Turn and face, big man. Take it to him. Oh, come on.
Final 2 minutes of the ball game. Kobe Bryant.
Nice passing.
Garnett to Zerbiak. Just not enough of that earlier in the ball game when Tom was talking about Wally Zerbiak had to find a way to get involved. He's been chasing Kobe Bryant a lot of the day. That hasn't helped, I'm sure, his offense, having to play defense against one of the premier players in the league. But he has 15 points, but that's not nearly enough. Kevin Garnett needs more help than that.
But finally, an execution on the fast break, and then they come right back and turn it over. Trying to find your game, and Flip Saunders, all he can do is slump against the scorer's table.
Devin George on the layup.
Well, they're going to look at the end of this game box score and they're going to say, we didn't stop anybody.
Garnett outside, missed. Flip Saunders' twin daughters, I understand, were on Star Search on Friday night. I think he knows where Star Search ends right here. It's the Lakers. Shaquille O'Neal got it inside. Looking at his left hand.
The flash from the weak side, ducking in under. The use of the near arm. You put it up underneath the defender's outstretched appendages and just root them right out of position.
The crowd stayed with this as long as they could. They start to file to the exits right now with Shaquille O'Neal going to the free throw line in less than a minute to play. The Lakers in command by 18. Kobe Bryant, huge day for him. Ends up with 39 points. If Shaq hits this free throw, I believe it'll be the 32nd time in their careers that they both had 30 or more in the same game. And Shaq does hit it.
What would be the record of the Lakers in those games?
They don't lose many, I'll tell you that much.
Don't underestimate the contributions of Rick Fox, doing a nice job defensively on Zerbiak.
Shaq snatches down the rebound. Final 45 seconds.
And this kind of underscored truly how great Shaq is. He's had a pretty quiet game today.
Just got his double-double officially with that last rebound. Yeah, Now he's got 32.
This has been a clinic.
And Minnesota has to regroup. It isn't going to be easy. 21-point lead is the biggest of the day. As we said, the Lakers have taken the home court advantage that the Timberwolves so desperately wanted to get after so many years of not having it. 6 straight years. Finally, they get it. They finish a game ahead of the Lakers in the standings. They get home court, and then they get run over on their home court.
Although I think you realize if you're going to win a series, you're going to have to win a game or two on the road. Very, very rarely do I remember a series that goes 7 games where every home team wins. So you take solace in that. You say it's a 7-game series, and let's see if we can get one there.
This game will now mean that the road team has won 4 of the first 7 first-round games so far this weekend. So it's exactly what you're talking about. The Lakers is the one that isn't a surprise. Final 20 seconds from Minneapolis. This is only going to be the 9th loss in this building this year. At one stretch, Timberwolves won 17 straight games here. But the regular season and the playoffs, 2 very different animals. And the Lakers, superb today from the opening tap. Missed very few shots, did very little wrong, and they roll to a big win. 117-98 is the final. The Lakers win it. We'll be back to wrap it up from the Twin Cities in just a moment. 117-98, the Lakers roll big in Minneapolis. Your thoughts, fellas?
A mission that the Lakers are on right now with a statement game, and they were so focused, so determined from the opening play. We saw perfection. We saw a flawlessness. We asked it and posed the question at the beginning, who's going to want to play against the Lakers? Who's going to take the game away from it? We did not see any of that today, with the exception of a brief flurry by Minnesota in the 3rd quarter.
The way they played today, I would have thought the last game the Lakers played was Game 4 of the championships last year. Forget about the regular season. They're back ready to roll.
They have the unique ability to play better and better each and every game. This was a phenomenal start for them.
Scary thought for Minnesota if the Lakers are going to be better, because the Timberwolves were great in their own building all year. Their fans tried, got it down to a 4-point game in the 3rd quarter. Then, as I said earlier, the Lakers became the Lakers. And the 3-time defending champions win it going away 117-98. Shaq and Kobe both with 30+. And the Lakers have another victory in the playoffs. Once again, the final 117-98. ABC Sports is online at ESPN.com. Keyword ABC Sports. Right now, for Bill Walton, Tom Tolbert, Michelle Tafoya, David Aldridge, and Mike Tirico, Brad Nessler, so long from Minneapolis.